Hello, this is John, and I want to give you a brief tutorial on how to print in AutoCAD. Currently on the screen here, I've got a drawing here. It's got a title block here, drafted in AutoCAD as a rectangle. It also has this rectangle here, which is the viewport. I'm in the Layout tab number 1 here, and this is the model space viewport. When I double click, I'm inside the drawing. Here I can move the drawing around, for example. When I click outside of the border, and I choose that border here, it'll show me the scale of the drawing here. It's a 1/4 inch scale right there. So that much we know. So I've got an outside border, a border for the viewport, and I got a little title block here drawn in the corner of the screen. When I right click on the Layout tab and try print, or plot rather, I'm going to use these settings here. I'm going to try, let's say, ANSI expand A and F/11. And let's see what a preview of that drawing looks like, that image looks like when it prints. Preview. And here, see what's happening is there's a part of the screen here that's being cut off at the very top of the screen there. There's a little border at the bottom. There's a little bit left on the right side. There's a little bit smaller border on the left side, and the top is being cut off. Hit escape. Now I can't see those border settings on my drawing. Now, if I choose another option, let's do this one here. ANSI full bleed A. And do a preview of that. Here, the border on the left is really, really small. Wider on the right. Again, tiny at the bottom. So my preference is to go with the first one. Let's go with this one here. Let's try ANSI A 11 by 8.5. Let's see what that looks like. Do a little preview there. And here, for example, you get a little border at the bottom. The right, left side border is a little bit smaller. And it's cutting off the top of the drawing again. Okay, that's this one here. So let's try to remedy this layout, ANSI A 11 by 8.5. Using these settings. Layout, scale is 1:1. Everything else on the screen is exactly the same as on your end as mine. Let's start with this here. Let me, again, we'll first preview it to see what's happening. There's this thing cut off here. There's a more of a border on the right than the left. Choose escape on your keyboard. Let me see those boundaries in AutoCAD. So we're going to choose apply to layout. And choose cancel. And there, you can now see the borders here on the screen and here. And if I circle back and right click on Layout tab and try to plot it again and do a preview, the top of the screen is going to be cut off. But this is a good starting place. Escape, escape. So let's use this Layout tab. These margins that are set up here. Let's grab this rectangle here, which is simply a rectangle drafted in AutoCAD. I'm going to erase it. And let's draw a brand new rectangle. Rectangles are simply here on the AutoCAD interface. If I pick a starting point, I choose the @ symbol, Shift 2, and I typed 10.5, comma, 7-5/8. 10 inches, 10.5 inches long, 7.5 inches tall, enter. There it is. I'm going to type M for move, grab this rectangle, and choose that corner, because I got my snaps turned on right here, this box here. And grab that corner, and I'm going to send it to 0, 0, 0, 0. Enter. That puts it right on the edge of that title block here. And it looks like I've got a little bit of room here on the right to expand it. Let's say I can make it another 1/8 of an inch longer. So let's grab this rectangle here, grab the little grip right there, click on it and drag it to the right and add another 1/8 of an inch. So I'll type 1/8 while I'm pointing the mouse to the right, use the move command. And there it lands just outside of that border. So it looks like an 1/8 is not going to work. Let's cancel that. Let's try, let me do a little distance here. This is about, it says an eighth, but I know it's shy of an eighth. So let's move it over a 16th of an inch. Use the move command M. Click on this actually click on the rectangle, escape. Click on the rectangle, grab the little grip, click on it, move the mouse to the right. I've got ortho turned on, by the way, right here to make sure the lines are perfectly straight. I'll type 1/16 inches, enter. And that puts it a little bit closer to that border there. I'm going to use M for move, and I'm going to move this entire box, enter, from this corner to this corner. That's where the title block will land. And let's see what happened at the top. Looks like the top here is much taller than I expected. This is the border, and it will clip off this title block above that area there. So let's click on this box here. Let's grab the grip there, point it straight down, and let's type a 1/2 inch. And it looks like a 1/2 inch lands inside of the dotted line. So it will capture and print this border just fine. However, the viewport here is outside that border. Again, this is this margin right here. It's going to cut anything off above that line there. It's going to cut off this entire drawing here. So we've got a problem there we need to resolve. Well, let's take a look. Right click on the layout, choose plot, and use preview. And you'll see the top of the screen here got lopped off. Escape. So let's fix the viewport. So let's grab the viewport here, grab the little grip, and move it down and make it align with the title block right there. Actually, it looks like there's more space here. Let's move, M for move, grab this viewport, enter, grab that corner, and move it to this corner here of the title block. So it sits right on the title block. So it looks like we got a little bit more space here. So let's click on this viewport. Let's click on the grip and drag it up to here and align it with the title block border right there. And it looks like we have a little bit more space here now. So if I click on this box, let's confirm the scale. The scale is still a 1/4 inch scale. And in this situation, this drawing is not going to fit on that layout. Because we can clearly see here that if this box, this viewport is set at a 1/4 inch scale, and we're within the confines of these margins here, this dotted line here, that's the most the screen will print. So this style of plot is not useful to us if we want to get a drawing of this size and that title block of that size to print properly. When I go back here and go to the plot, this style here called ANSI A doesn't work for us. So let's try another 11 by, or 8.5 by 11. Let's use ANSI expand A. And let's take that one and apply it to the viewport so we can see where the margins land. Hit apply, hit OK. Actually, don't hit OK, hit cancel. And there you can see now we've got a little bit more room here at the top. We've got more space. The title block is practically where it was earlier. Maybe it grew a little bit here on the right, but we've got more space here at the top to fit our drawing. So when we click here on the viewport, actually that's the title block. I'll move this title block up. Let's try a 1/2 inch. And it looks like we can still move it another hair, 1/60 of an inch or what have you to make it exact if you want. But that seems like it's going to be enough room for this floor plan. Click on the viewport, grab the grip, line it up with the title block. Click on the grip, line it up to the title block on the left. And then here you'll see that the floor plan, double click inside there, fits inside of that viewport just fine. I can see the very bottom there. I can see the very top. By the way, if you don't want to see this grid, double click in the viewport and turn off this icon here at the bottom next to model. Double click on the paper to return to paper space. And this will print nicely because everything is aligned with the dotted line of the margin or inside the dotted line there. So this title block fits exactly within the space we have available. I moved everything to make an alignment here as best I can. So now when I do a right click, plot, and do a preview, I know it's going to work because we saw this coming. this is the size of the drawing. Within the title block, nothing is getting cropped. And these are the steps you want to take to try different page sizes, different formats to see which one works best for your project. In this project, it turns out that this ANSI Expand A is the best fit for the drawing we're trying to create. It might change in the future based on the size of the drawing you're trying to produce and at what scale. But this seems to work. So here, when I launch this screen, all I have to do is choose OK. And then I'll simply choose a folder on my computer here, hit save, and then that drawing will be saved to my computer. I can then circle back, open up the PDF file, and here it is on the screen. Nice border around the drawing here. There's a little space here at the top. There's a little margin here at the bottom, but that works exactly. I cannot predict what the AutoCAD drawing will look like when it prints out. These are the steps you should take whenever printing anything in AutoCAD. Good luck. Hope to hear from you soon. Bye now.